Well, hello everyone, Willie here from the ColecoVisions podcast. When I need to take a break from my ColecoVision and podcasting, I like to bust out my Super Nintendo, pop in Knights of the Round, and listen to Soul Blazers, the SNES podcast. It's so freaking super nintastic.
Sorry. I play on ColecoVision.
At $200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king! Only for Super NES.
You're listening to the SNES broadcast with your hosts, Soul Blazer and George.
Good day, all. Welcome to Super NES Podcast. This is episode number 66 for your listening pleasure. I am Greg, and he is George, as always.
It's me, I'm here.
Yes. Well, it's a good thing that you are here, because I wouldn't want to do this like by myself.
You did fine. You did fine when you did that F-Zero episode.
And several others.
Yes.
But yeah, this is like, but since it was like your episode to pick a game, it's even more important that you're here.
That makes sense.
Yes, because I want to hear why you wanted to cover this game. So
because it's a cool game.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Podcast is
over. So why don't you tell the good listeners like what game we're covering?
Bust-A-Move, aka Puzzle Bobble.
Yes, renamed for North America only as Bust-A-Move. I don't know why the game was renamed. I couldn't find anything online or anywhere indicating why Taito felt the name change was needed.
Yeah, it's a weird change.
But yeah, so this was available originally an arcade game in 1994. The Super NES version was developed and published by Taito in 1995. So why don't we start off a little bit with talking about our history look at the game. Have you played this before in the past, George?
Not this one. I've played one of the newer ones. I think it might have been like 3 or something.
Okay.
First time I played it was from a PlayStation demo disc. And I really liked it, and then, over the years, they kept making them,
right?
Which is crazy, and the most experience I remember having is actually the one for the Wii.
Okay.
But I also own the one for Xbox. And it's a cool game. It's not something you could really marathon because, whew, that's really rough. But I still like it, and it also... it's the characters Bub and Bob from, I totally forgot what the name of that game is.
Bubble Bobble!
Bubble Bobble.
Yes.
My god.
There's a lot of similarities
so much on my mind right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities like to the, a lot of things are taken over like in that franchise like for this, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, and Bubble Bobble was basically one of those games I played as a kid.
Yep. This game is not really an action puzzle game so much as Bubble Bobble is, but there's definitely like a very action feel to it also because but again, we'll get into that when we talk about gameplay. The PlayStation 1 you probably had was you probably played as a kid was probably the sequel, Bust-A-Move 2.
It might have been. I don't remember.
Yeah. Yep, this is the first game in the franchise that spawned about 7 games, depending upon how you count it.
Jeez.
The newest one came out the DS.
Oh.
Yeah, like a couple years ago. I don't know if that was available in North America. I think it may have been a Japan-only game, but yeah, there is a DS1. So, but anyway, so I remember playing this game like in the arcades, like on the Neo Geo. But I never had played the Super NES version of this game, and had not played it in any form for a very long time. So, it was kind of fun to go back to it and remind myself how much I suck at this game. But
No, I hear you on that.
It's because because like any good puzzle game, it starts off easy and then gets like difficult very fast. But so why don't we talk about the history like a little bit? As George already mentioned, this game is loosely inspired and takes a lot from the popular Bubble Bobble series. The title had originally come out with back in 1985. Puzzle games were popular during the early 90s because of things like Tetris and Calms and some other games out there. So Taito decided just to simply borrow some aspects from their Bubble Bobble series and kind of make a kind of spin-off puzzle game with them. You have the same two main characters. I like this game. Your two dinosaur buds. Whose names I'm drawing a blank on.
Bob and Bob?
Bob and Bob, yes, thank you. So, and if you look carefully when the bubbles are popping, you can see the enemies there, like in the Bubble Bobble games. And also to beat the game, it also plays a remix of the music from like the game music from Bubble Bobble as well. So
I really like that. It sounded great on the SNES hardware. Yes.
So so this game originally came out in Japan only in June of '94 on their V system hardware. Trivia note: the original planned release name of the game was Bubble Buster, but at the last second they changed it to Puzzle Bobble instead. But they
that sounds much better.
6 months later, in December of '94, SNK released the arcade game worldwide, like on their Neo Geo hardware, their arcade system, which I always forget the designations of the letters for the arcade versus home for that. I think it was the MVK or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, that's how I played it first like in the arcades. The Neo Geo version of the game was almost the same. The only difference, really the only differences besides having translated text was the game also played in stereo and had some different sound effects. But probably, if I had to guess, the reason the name got changed for North America was because the Bubble Bobble series was never as popular over here as it was in Japan. So maybe they kind of felt that the name recognition really wouldn't do them any favors. So again, that's just a guess. Like if I had to make,
but I don't see why they would change the. I to be honest, if you compared the two names, I would rather have Puzzle Bobble than Bust a Move.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah,
same here. I don't really know why, but yeah, the series is still known as Bust a Move here in North America. So, but
yeah, I wish we had an answer for that. I'd really like to know.
But yeah, so being very popular, the game was ported out to a number of systems. Besides the Super NES in 1995, the Super NES version of the game got released worldwide. The game also got ported to the 3DO, the Neo Geo CD, the Game Gear, and the Game Gear, like in the Wonder Swan.
I might have to go get the 3DO version though.
I've never played that one. It probably plays very close to the arcade version.
It's probably very similar.
So yeah, this version of the game is very similar. Like to the like to the arcade version as well. Also, major differences being that there's also, when you start the game up, you can either play one player, two player, or challenger. And there's also an option for challenge record, which is kind of like a time trial thing. Thing we're trying to like beat the best time kind of like thing. But two-player mode looks pretty fun. It does this kind of two-player mode's same kind of similar gameplay as some of the Tetris games later on later on like we do, where like both players take up one side of the screen, and you're trying to clear your side first. And if you do a particular good combo, those bubbles get transferred over to the other player's side to mess them up. So, and whoever gets to clear their side first wins. So, but one player mode is you can be doing this like for a while, folks, because one player mode has 100 levels to clear.
It takes about an hour and a half if you play through it.
Yes, I did. I watched a long play of the game on YouTube to see the ending, because there's no way in heck I was going to be able to finish the game. But I got to about level 24, I want to say, before I get stymied. But but there is a password feature this game that the game has, so you can always go back to where you left off, which is very good.
Very helpful.
Yes.
I would hate to start from the beginning again.
So for those of you out there who have not played this game, let me try to describe this, and maybe George can help.
It's like
here.
Facebook games now. you shoot a color at another color, and if you match them up, they pop, and if anything's under it, that falls too. It's the way that technology has brought us, like, these kinds of games are like Facebook games now.
It does have this game does have the very charming twist of having your dinosaur buds at the bottom of the screen helping you with the shots. One guy will load the shot into the cannon for you. The other guy will actually move it back and forth
from the infinite sack of bubbles.
Yes, you can only see one bubble ahead of you. You can't store any bubbles, so if you have a bubble that you don't want, a card that you don't want, you have to shoot the bubble off to the side.
Yes, that's what makes it more difficult.
Right, and if you get 3 or more, as George said, of any color, it goes poof. You obviously want the bigger the combo, the more points you get. And banking is very important in this game because the screen is not really that big. The screen's actually kind of cramped, actually. So banking shots is very critical. There's a great walkthrough online, like the arcade version of this game, and this guy was an engineering student at MIT when he wrote the FAQ because he got addicted to the game, playing it in the student union arcade there. So, and being an engineering student, you can imagine the kind of strategies he has for solving the game's levels. So he makes judicious use of banking. Let's just put it that way. So.
Right. Yeah. But what I really liked about the bubbles was they actually have the enemies from Bubble Bobble in there.
I said that already.
Did you say that?
Yes, I did. Back at the beginning, when I was talking about similarities with this game, like in the Bubble Bobble series.
We're really good at not listening to each other tonight.
Well, we're also.
Well, I wanted to share that I liked it.
Yes, I do also. It's very charming, but
yes.
But and every now and then, for every number of shots that you shoot, the screen also lowers down a level.
Yes.
So you want to be very careful when the shots you're making, and as the screen gets smaller, the bubbles also the firing speed of your bubble speeds up, and the music also speeds up. And the bubbles reach the bottom of the screen, then it's game over. So
yeah, it's like Tetris, but upside down.
Yeah, kind of like that. And the big thing that, like I said before, the big thing I think that differentiates this game between other puzzle games, is the banking, because banking is critical in this game. Especially you can't get very far in the game unless you know how to bank, because you really have to calculate the angles and be able to okay, if I want to get this ball up here to get this combo, I need to shoot off at this angle to be able to get the past this one and everything else. So it's not really that complicated. You get the hang of the angles after a while, but it definitely gives the game kind of a very unique feel to it.
I'm usually bad at eyeballing things, so I think if you fail a level enough times or something, they actually give you a little indicator showing where it will bounce off and everything.
I don't remember that, but I never really
It was definitely in the first level for like the tutorial. I know that much. But
Okay.
if you fail a level, I'm pretty sure like it does it like after like a few fails or something like that.
Yeah, I never actually did that because I was just simply like if I failed a level, I just like reload a save state and try again. So
Okay. Yeah.
But if just do that, that's very generous of them. That definitely helps you to get farther in the game.
For sure.
But so like Bubble Bobble, this game's very cute, almost sickeningly cute. The dinosaurs look the same way that they do in the Bubble games. They're just simply larger, like more defined. The enemies, as George said, give very little cute popping motions, like the bubbles go boom. Like Bubble Bobble. There's bright colors. The whole game is very the whole game has a very like cartoony feel to it, for sure. But so it's not very graphically sophisticated. But for being a port like the arcade game, and for what they were trying to pull off, the game looks great in the Super NES.
Yes.
The colors are popping, the graphics are quite good, all the animations and styles carry over like an arcade game. It's you're not pushing the hardware limits here, so everything looks great.
All the different backgrounds are nice.
Yep, that's true also. So and like Bubble Bobble, the game also has a very simple, very addictive, a very cute musical piece that plays through the game. And like Bubble Bobble, it's very good at first, but after a while, it very quickly becomes annoying.
Could you imagine listening to that for about an hour and a half?
I didn't.
Good, I didn't either.
I mean, the song's nice, but like Bubble Bobble, it's a good song, but after you hear it for like 10 times, you're like, ugh, enough already, but... So, but yeah,
that's a game where you eventually mute it and listen to music or something.
Yes, or nothing at all, because sounds may help you to concentrate better, as the case may be. Because, like I said, the difficulty ramps up very well in this game. The first few levels are very easy to get you used to the game. It's like, okay, just shoot here, you're done, move on. But it doesn't take very long for the game to get very deviously difficult. And the time limit also gets harder the harder you go on, because of the fact that it takes less amount of shots for the level to start coming down on you also. So it adds just adds extra pressure.
Oh, it's number of shots, it's not a timer?
Yeah, it's a number of shots.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
But, and there's also time bonus. Like, you're the kind of person who plays for points. Not only do you want to try to get bigger combos and try to like destroy a large number on the screen at once, but you also want to try to do this as fast as possible, because if you finish the round within 60 seconds, you'll get a certain amount of bonus points as well. For example, the guy who's playing the long play of this on YouTube finished the game with like 2.5 million points.
Jeez.
So, but we get a huge point bonus for beating the game.
Yes.
Let's talk about that last stage. Like Bubble Bobble, there's actually a boss fight. Stage 100, as you're trying to destroy this big enemy that's inside of like a brick wall at the top of the screen that's protected by bubbles, and you're trying to clear a path to the brick wall and shoot bubbles on the brick wall to damage it. And once you do that enough times, the brick wall collapses, the enemy falls down, and you beat the game.
Woohoo!
So, where apparently, I don't know what the plot of this game is. I don't really think it has one, but apparently it looks like that your two dinosaur buds were trying to secure a great treasure, because the beginning of the game shows them in front of a huge mound of gold and jewelry, and gold coins. What two dinosaurs would do with that much money, Lord only knows, but hey, it's theirs now.
They're gonna build a version of NASA. They're gonna go to the moon.
Yeah. So yeah. As far as so I played the game also on MAME to refresh my memory. And pretty much this is a very good port to the arcade game. There's really nothing left out on this. The screen's a little bit smaller because of the different kind of resolution that the Super NES has, as opposed to the arcade, and the controls are of course like a bit different because they're because the arcade game like had a joystick versus the pad to move the gun around on, but that's fine. I mean, the changes to this game are so minor that it's really, like I said, because it wasn't a very sophisticated arcade game. The Super NES had no problem at all pulling the game off, so it translates over very well. It's a very, very good arcade port.
Hey, at least the resolution wasn't backwards.
Yes, indeed. It's got that much going for it, right?
Yeah. You can tell if a game's good or not if the resolution's correct.
So, how far did you get in the game before you finally got, totally stuck, George?
Oh, geez. I haven't kept track of it. I've been really busy this week. A lot of very important things have been going on, but I made time to play this. I don't know how far I've gotten, but I do have a lot of experience with this series. So.
Right, okay. So, back when this game came out, the reviews of this were actually, very mixed. To give you an example of a positive review, EGM gave it high marks, calling it quote a thoroughly enjoyable and incredibly addicting puzzle game. And two-player mode is truly the highlight of the game. Too bad I didn't get to play this against somebody else. The two-player mode does look very fun.
It does.
But, I always did like the mode in Tetris. I think it was Tetris Attack was the first one to have that, where, if you do particularly well, you throw blocks on the other side to mess them up. That's a great thing to do. But on the negative side, however, GamePro criticized the game, saying it's, quote, starts out fun, but ultimately lacks replay value and longevity, and that one-player mode, all the levels feel the same, and two-player mode, two-player matches go over too quickly to bit of any excitement. They also criticize the lack of any 3D effects in the graphics. I think this review is kind of harsh. I mean,
yeah, it sounds like it.
The levels are pretty similar. I will give it that. I do have a small nitpick on this game. It's probably the fact that there's not really too much variety in the levels. I mean the bubbles. The bubbles are always arranged in different formations and colors, but the screen's so small, there's really only so much you can do with that. So, at least they try to make each one different, and I think for the most part they succeeded. But, I can't see the game kind of lacking replay value, because you're either going to reach a point where you're totally stuck in this game and just throw your controller down in frustration and you never go back to it again, or you're going to beat the game and you're going to be so sick of it that you're not going to touch it again. So, I kind of agree on that one point that the game kind of lacks the replay value.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Which is something the later games I think they did a better job of.
Yeah, I would think so.
But hey, for starting a franchise, this game's very good. This game's still very playable today, I think, and still a lot of fun to play. If you like
it's easy to play too. It's pick up and play.
Yeah. It's what's there to? Once you learn the angles, which takes 5 minutes. It's pretty much all elementary from there on out.
Right. So, it's also not like an RPG where if you're gone for a month or something, you just where am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? So
right.
It's got that going for it too.
Yes. So I talked about my very minor nitpicks like this game, George. Do you have any small complaints or anything anything in this game you wish was different?
The music.
Well, yeah, besides that. we've already kicked that dog enough, so.
I wish it added more gameplay. It's basically the same thing up until the end.
Yep.
The only thing that's different is the boss battle. Should have added something to it, maybe?
Right.
I'm not sure, because like I said, it's just the same thing over and over. Other than that, there's not really much to complain about.
Yeah. So I think this game may be kind of. I don't think this game has the same universal appeal that Tetris does.
Right.
I do appreciate the action, the action part of it, but this game's definitely harder, I think, than Tetris is. Like overall, and I think this game probably. Kids would probably have a hard time with this game, because of the fact that because the angles involved and the kind of the difficulty of trying to match up colors as opposed to like just simply dropping blocks like into like straight lines.
Right.
But yeah, as a puzzle game, it's very fun. Like George said, this formula has been repeated upon time and time again, and still around today, like in many like mobile and flash games and Facebook and Facebook stuff and whatnot. So it's definitely a classic. I think this game holds up well today. I think the later games of the series probably are better, but that's kind of. But a lot of games and franchises that come out of the fact are usually better than the original game. The game's still quite fun to play today. I certainly had some fun playing it.
Yeah, I did too.
So, yeah. So my recommendation is, if you like puzzle games, definitely check this one out. It's pretty cheap to get a hold of too. There's 17 copies of the game currently available on eBay, with 48 copies recently sold, and these prices like include shipping. Card only prices vary wildly, but you can get but they do start as cheap as like $6.
That's a really good price.
Yeah, card only prices for sold copies ranging from $6 to $34.
34. Wow. Ooh.
Yeah, there were a few CIB copies available also. Those range anywhere from $21.50 to $28.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So yeah, for $6, there's definitely worth to look. Playing for $6.
I'd say up to 15 maybe.
Yeah, I can't really speak about the other ports of the game. I remember the I remember the Neo Geo version of this game playing a hair faster, and the colors were a little bit more vibrant in the arcade version. But that's because the arcade hardware, but that's because the Neo Geo hardware is much more powerful than Super NES hardware is. So, I imagine this game plays fine, regardless of what format you play it in. So anyway, I've already pretty much said my final thoughts about this game. George, do you have anything else to say about the game?
It's a good game. You should go play it. If you want to buy it, definitely worth it. I mean, what else do you say? It's a cool game.
Right. Yeah, you definitely get stuck into a trance sometimes with playing this game. It's like that move and shoot combo that you have going on because your brain's already thinking like one step ahead. Because you see this shot coming up next, you're like, okay, I shoot this here, and then that frees up me to shoot this one over here. Just like, I bank this one here just right. I can get it to go up there to clear out that line. You're not even realizing you're doing it as you're playing the game. I mean, you're always thinking one step ahead.
Yeah.
Well, you have to also because this game gets very unforgiving higher up in the game. Definitely check out some of this the higher levels on YouTube. Some of these higher levels, by the 40s, this game gets insane. By the 70s, you're just wondering how the heck can anybody do this. So it's definitely challenging. Yeah, challenging. Like, you enjoy this game, you could be playing this game for a long time. So. But yes, and I really appreciate the fact it has a password feature.
Very helpful.
Yes. So anyway, I think that's all we have to say about this game.
Yep.
So next time we're doing a special. We're doing a it's a treat. Something we don't usually do, but George and I decided. Well, I had the original idea. George is accommodating enough to go along with it.
Yes.
To come up with something a bit different for us. The idea was actually suggested. I don't know if they were joking or not, but
that's the best part.
But on the newest episode of Pie Factory Podcast, which is a great podcast I really recommend that everybody out there listen to that enjoy arcade games, because Sean and Jim do a great job on that podcast talking about 2 classic arcade games like in every episode. And they're fans of the show. They've done a bumper for us and everything else like that, so I very much appreciate that. Anyway, in their like the most recent talk, of like the most recent episode, they were suggesting that they were looking forward to us covering pachinko games in this podcast, because George has talked about that a couple times in the past. So like I said, I don't know if they were serious or not, but we're gonna call them on their bluff. So we're gonna be covering we're gonna be sampling a few of the many pachinko and as a bonus mahjong games available that were released for the Super Famicom in Japan during the lifetime of the Super NES. I'm going to be covering a couple of pachinko games, and George is going to be covering a couple of mahjong games.
Oh boy!
So
I wonder who got the short end of the stick there.
Well, I picked pachinko because I don't know pachinko because I'm like mahjong. I actually don't know how pachinko plays, so I want to learn it. So yeah, so this should be interesting. So tune in next time for that.
Don't touch that dial.
If you have any questions, comments, feedback, suggestions, etc., please feel free to contact us like on our Facebook page, or you can also send me an email directly to the SNES podcast at yahoo.com. George and I also do another podcast together called PlayStation Power. We cover PS1 and PS2 games. That one's not family friendly. Just so you're warned. George, what other podcasts do you do, and where can people reach you at?
Oh, other podcasts I do. Well, if you want to talk about not family friendly podcasts, I also do The Box Fort. And that's wonderful. We got a third person on there, and it just keeps getting better. Anyway, I also do Master System Masterpieces. We cover Master System games. That one's been great. Been finding a lot of games that I have no idea. I did not know about them. So that's fun. But you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Chief. That's at MISTURCHEF, and that's basically it for me. Yes.
Please also. We're also available. This podcast is also available on iTunes. Please feel free to check us out there and give us a review. We'd very much appreciate it. And we're also a proud member of both the Throwback Network and Retro Junkies. We can check out a whole bunch of other retro podcasts, both gaming and non-gaming related. So tons of stuff on there for listening pleasure. We're still working on some guest hosts coming up in the near future. Schedules are very difficult to arrange, but we have some tentative things lined up. It's just a matter of trying to get people in to actually make commitments to actually being on the podcast. So, hint, hint. So, we'll hopefully have those look up for you very soon.
Awesome.
And I think that's about it. Anything else that you want to say to the good listeners before we sign off?
Don't forget to say in school, kids.
Well, the arcade version of this game came out during that whole winners don't use drugs period, so there's a whole bunch of anti-drug messages and everything that's on the arcade game, so that's appropriate. It fits.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and take care. Have a good night.
Goodbye.
Or day, or whatever it is that you listen to this. Later.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man. Now you're playing with power. Doom Bomb.